and you have a president who likes being unpredictable. They're not ready to rest easy yet. Greg Milam, Sky News, Seal Beach in California.
Well, let's stay with the tensions between Iran and the US and speak to the author and dissident Alireza Jafarzadeh, who wrote The Iran Threat about the country's attempts to build a nuclear bomb. He joins me from Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us. Mercifully, it seems the temperature is lowering a little bit between the US and Iran. Who won the confrontation, do you think?
I think at the end of the day, it's the people of Iran who are winning the confrontation, because the real confrontation is between the Iranian regime and the people of Iran. Remember, just 2 months ago in November, there was a major uprising in Iran that engulfed 191 cities. The regime had to bring in the entire military structure, the Revolutionary Guards, the Basij. They opened fire in the street on the demonstrators. They killed 1,500 people, arrested 12,000 people, yet they weren't able to put down the revolt for about 3-4 days. That's the reality of Iran. We're facing a situation that you have a regime that is authoritarian. It's based on, religious suppression. It's killing its own people. The people have risen up against this regime. They're rejecting the regime in its entirety. People are looking for change in Iran, not by outsiders, but by the people of Iran, as we have witnessed in the streets of Tehran.
Yeah.
Now, what also we have witnessed is that the population in the region have also turned against the Iran regime, whether it's in Iraq, in Syria, and in Lebanon. People are revolting against the Iran regime's aggression and against their involvement in their countries.
But Alireza, I mean, the regime is surviving despite the protests. Iran is winning more broadly across the Middle East. I mean, it's basically helped win the war in Syria. It's embedded in Iraq. Hezbollah is strong, and it's disrupting their main rivals in the region, Saudi Arabia. And there's an American president who wants to pull out troops from the Middle East. The Iranians are winning.
Well, that's what the regime likes to portray itself as winning, and that's what they were doing it for some period. But that tide has changed. You never had the Shia population in Iraq protesting specifically against the Iranian regime and their presence, protesting against Soleimani in the days leading to the killing of Soleimani. You didn't have people in Lebanon rising up against Hezbollah. So that's why the whole situation has changed in compared to a year ago, 2 years ago. Inside Iran, it's true that the regime killed so many people, but the main concern of the Iran regime, of the supreme leader, remains the Iranian people and the Iranian population. Why do you think the regime downed the plane, the Ukrainian plane, the passenger plane, just yesterday? Why do you think?
Just hold on a second. Just hold on a second. I mean, there's no firm evidence that the regime brought down that plane.
Well, there are a lot of news reports today that senior U.S. government officials, Ukrainian officials, Iraqi officials are saying that that plane was brought down by missiles, anti-aircraft missiles by the Iranian regime. And by the way, our leader, Mrs. Maryam Rajavi, announced a day of mourning for tomorrow, Friday.
Well, Alireza, just sorry to interrupt, but I mean, the speculation at the moment, we have to be clear about that. And there's no suggestion it was a deliberate thing anyway.
Well, my point is that whether it's deliberate or not deliberate, my point is that the number one preoccupation of the supreme leader in Iran is the people of Iran and their organized opposition. You know, Supreme Leader Khamenei spoke yesterday, right after they fired those missiles on the Iraqi territory against American forces. Within that discussion, he brought up the issue of the main opposition, the Mujahideen Khalq, the MEK, who are based outside of Iran, who want to bring down the Ayatollahs. He referred to the November uprising in Iran, and he said, you know, there were people who wanted to bring down the regime. If the regime has won that debate and that battle, why would Khamenei, in the most important speech in a long time, bring it up and warning its own forces that the real threat, the real enemy are the people of Iran who are organized, who are focused on bringing down the Ayatollahs. The regime has lost its resources. The issue of corruption is a central issue during the protests in Iran. Why? People actually targeted the banks that are all owned by the Revolutionary Guards, targeted the gas stations and other places, because they feel this regime is a corrupt regime that needs to be brought down.
Okay, Alireza, I have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
That's about it. You've been watching the NewsHour with me, Mark Costin. Thanks very much for watching. Coming up next, it's